Through their first 4 games, the Boston Celtics have displayed dominance for stretches of games, and on some nights, they look completely unguardable. In last night's game, the Celtics matched up with Indiana, and the poor Pacers didn't stand a chance. Indiana was missing Halliburton, but with the way Boston was playing, I'm not really sure it would have mattered. The Celtics in the opening quarter put up 44 points while only missing 5 shots, which would eventually lead to a 20-point lead by halftime. The Celtics started the second half on a 14-2 run to go up 30, and after that, finishing the game was a mere formality. The Celtics will win by 50 points, which puts their average win margin for the season at 20.5 points per game. The Celtics have defeated all 4 of their opponents, looking better and better as each game goes by. While the core remains intact for Boston as it has for years, the addition of Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis has really shifted the foundation of their starting 5 after moving on from Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. On paper, the starting 5 of Jrue, Derek, Jaylen, Jason, and Kristaps seems unstoppable. And it turns out for once that the on-paper product has directly translated to the on-court product as well. In today's video, we're going to break down the brand new Celtics starting 5 and how they dominate their opponents. Jrue Holiday is in his 14th season and has long held the reputation as one of the league's best defensive players, and the reputation still rings true. Shipping out Marcus Smart and then later in the summer acquiring a guard who's at least just as good defensively and probably a better offensive player is a job well done by the Celtics front office. Jrue just came off one of the best offensive seasons of his career last year with Milwaukee. Jrue is a level up from Marcus as a playmaker, which will be really helpful for Boston this season. One of the biggest knocks for Jrue was that he's a poor isolation scorer and can't be the main guy in the half court, which he needed to be in Milwaukee at times. Good news for Jrue in Boston, he's now sometimes the 4th or even 5th guy when it comes to offensive responsibility on the floor, depending on who else is cooking that night. Holiday will be tasked with very little self-creation responsibilities, but he can easily assume the role of the steady hand in the half court when things get a little too chaotic for Boston. With so much spacing on the floor, Jrue's going to be in the perfect situation as a scorer, whether it be attacking closeouts, finding the open lane as a cutter, or spotting up for the catch and shoot 3.
Nail-biting wins on Wednesday night.
I expect a very efficient season from Jrue. Derek White was acquired near the deadline during the 2021-22 season by the Celtics for 2 role players and their 2022 first-round pick, which was an absolute slam dunk of a trade for Boston. Since his arrival in Boston, Derek White has been hyper-efficient and has been a great complementary piece alongside the Jays. He also had an incredible playoff run for them last season, scoring over 13 points on blistering hot efficiency. He does a phenomenal job of playing off the ball and taking exactly what the defense is giving him, whether that's taking the 3, knifing to the rim, or making the extra pass. In addition to all of this, Derek White is also a very reliable ball handler in the pick and roll, which helps create open looks for himself or create opportunities for others. In addition to all of his offensive abilities, he too is also a very solid defensive guard. In the similar vein to Jrue, having another guard who can score at all 3 levels, who's rarely making poor decisions, and won't get played off the floor on defense is just an incredible advantage for Boston to have. As we know, the Jays have been the 2 foundational building blocks of the Boston Celtics for the last 6 years, and they've been incredible. But before we get to them, we need to talk about the guy that has completely shifted the dynamic of this team on offense, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. The numbers aren't gaudy for Porzingis, but his production so far and his ability just to open up the floor for the rest of his teammates is something that needs to be recognized. KP is now playing in his 8th season in the NBA and has come a far way since his rookie days in New York. After a couple of stops along the way, I think Boston is the perfect situation for him. Having 4 players on the floor alongside him who can all create their own shot, create for somebody else, and score at all 3 levels and defend their man well will make Kristaps' job so easy. The best asset Porzingis provides for the Celtics is legitimate floor spacing. Horford has been a solid shooter over the years, but he isn't in the same realm as Porzingis. Last year was one of his best shooting seasons at 38.5% on 5.5 3-point attempts per game with the Wizards, and I have a feeling that efficiency is going to climb even farther this year. Just take a look at how much space he has on this 3. The scary part is how simple it was for Boston to create this look. Derek White beats the initial defender, Help has to come, which is typically always going to be the big man. In this case, it's Kevin Love, the same guy who's guarding Porzingis. Lowry overhelps, leaving Drew open for a kickout, and before Love can even finish processing the defensive possession, KP finds himself with 15 feet of space. Porzingis is going to be most lethal as a popper, playing alongside any of the aforementioned guards and wings. The Celtics do such a good job of beating the initial man on defense, causing the team defenses to collapse. This will put defenses in positions that are hard to recover from, allowing Porzingis to eat. Because he's so tall, it's hard for teams to get a clean contest on him. If defenses overcommit on Porzingis when he's wide open, he's more than capable of making that extra pass to somebody else. And one of these slept-on abilities that Porzingis has in his arsenal as well is that he's more than willing and capable to put the ball on the floor when the opportunity presents itself. Pick and roll offense with Kristaps Porzingis as a screener is going to be absolutely lethal for Boston all season long. Jaylen Brown is now in his 8th season in the NBA and is off to a great start alongside his fellow teammates. Jaylen was a 3rd pick in the 2016 NBA draft and was considered a project coming out of Cal, and I think it's safe to say he's turned himself into a hell of a player. Brown has become a 3-level scorer and is one half of the NBA's best duos. The biggest knock on Brown is at times his inability to control the ball, and that haunted him in last year's playoff run. This year, Brown has tightened up his handle a little bit, but he's going to have far less responsibility creating now that Drew Holiday is on the squad. Through 4 games, Jaylen is averaging just 2 turnovers per game, which would be the lowest mark he's had in the last 5 seasons. All Jaylen should need to do for the squad is what he does best, and that's scoring the ball. Jaylen has been very efficient and effective in 4 games. He should have a lot of easy looks this season, and as long as he doesn't overcomplicate things for himself, he should have another fantastic year. And finally, we have to talk about Jason Tatum. Tatum has been remarkable to start the season, averaging nearly 30 a night, and he's gotten to the point where it just looks so effortless for him. This is easily the best supporting cast that Tatum has ever had in his life, and for what I've seen so far, it feels like Boston should be the clear favorites to represent the Eastern Conference in June next year. Tatum has 4 guys on the floor with him that can score from anywhere and also can hang defensively. In his 4 games, Tatum has been wildly efficient while his output remains similar to what it has been for the last couple of seasons. The biggest test for Tatum as the leader of this group is if he can continue to develop as a playmaker. At the end of the day, the ball will find Tatum the most out of anyone else on the floor, and he needs to be able to punish anything the defense throws at him. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to score over the course of the season, but when it comes down to it, teams are likely going to force the ball out of his hands in high pressure situations, and he's going to have to make the defenses pay if they double. Tatum has all the weapons alongside him, and there are simply no excuses for the squad now. If Tatum continues to play well and the team continues to succeed, I would not be surprised if we see Tatum in MVP chatter by the end of the season. The NBA has been absolutely electric so far this season, so if you guys don't want to miss out on anything, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out some of my recent content.